What is up to that nation? New Orleans Saints here on Dynasty Pylon. We are talking about who's coming in, rookies, free agents, how this team's going to run, and surprisingly, may or may not actually make playoffs. That and all more here on Dynasty Pylon. Let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit of Saints here today on Dynasty Pylon. Welcome in, Who Dat Nation. What is up? All right, so what else can I say? New Orleans Saints. It's been pretty interesting the last couple of years. They went 7-10 2 years ago, and then last year they went 9-8, just missing the playoffs. Now 3 years in a row. So they brought in Clint Kubik, the new offensive coordinator. So it should be very interesting on how they run this team. It's going to be definitely different. What is up, Derpy? How are you, man? Hope you're doing good. We were talking Saints today. So look, they came in with 9 draft picks, right? And then that kind of shortly changed. I think they went down to eventually 7 when it came to the draft. But the Saints had 9 picks. I think they traded away or something like that, a third for Sean Payton? And then a fourth to Jacksonville or something like that from last year. So yeah, it was very interesting that then, I was like, okay, all right, we could do this. I wasn't even aware. A lot of us weren't even aware that could even be possible. So it is what it is now. Now that we brought him in, it's different. So Sean Payton's over there at Denver, and now the Saints are left with a totally different face because that's we've had Sean Payton there for many years. So free agency, not too bad. A bunch of filler guys, but I guess the main key point here is they brought in Chase Young for a 1-year deal. I do like that. I mean, he's a very talented player. It's a 1-year deal for $13 million. So the fully guaranteed money should be pretty decent for him. I think it was like I can't remember the exact numbers, but the man had 7.5 sacks last year on the Niners. So it could be good. He could extend because Cameron Jordan, Carl Granderson, and then obviously with what freaking the retirement of old man Jordan potentially, like it's just like he could potentially fill in that role, right? So it's just he could stay there for a while. It doesn't necessarily mean, but again, money wise, I look. This is the one team I don't know how they're broke every year, and then they somehow manage to gain money out of the magic world of cap. I don't know how it goes, but they just somehow manage to have money at the end of the day. It surprises me every year. So yeah. So there it is, Chase Young, and then the other one who was another asset who I think is really good for them is Willie Gay. I think he's going to make some very good assets here for that linebacker core. So I'm actually surprised that this linebacker core isn't half bad. I like it. We'll get more into that once we get to the defensive side of the ball. But what's up, Jonathan? Hey man, how's it going? It's been a while. So and he says he comes in. We're the only team to not bet to win the Super Bowl this year. Well, it's like you guys have potential to do great things. I'm not saying it's like bad. This year's going to be interesting though. So there's worse teams than you. I think you guys are going to be towards the like lower end, but we'll see. We'll see. I got to look at the schedule again. What do we do here when we're doing these overview shows? I don't look at the schedule. I wait till the end of the episode. Again, Jonathan, before you leave, if you're at work or something, my guy, if you want and you can only swing by for a little bit, please give me your record. You think how much they're going to win? How the record of what this prediction? We're going to tie it on together at the end of the episode, and then we'll add it to the chart. So if you got to go. I understand that goes for the rest of everybody. If you're swinging by, give me your guys' record, and we'll try and be reasonable and put it into the chart. So let's see that rookie board. Yeah, I know. So, but again, having those guys that sit there, Willie Gay and Cameron Jordan there with Chase Young, like it should be very interesting to see. I think Chase Young is going to learn a lot from Cameron Jordan. Again, we don't know. The guy's 34 years old. I have a feeling he might be gone. So Carl Granderson also good. Peyton Turner is also there as well. So you got and Isaiah Foskey's also there. Like these guys are young, but they have these guys ahead of them that they still have to wait their turn. So outside of the defense, I know I'm going to talk about these linebackers. These linebackers I actually really love. So, but again, as Derpy said, let's take a look at this rookie board. The draft was very interesting. Obviously, they made moves, trading up and down to get certain players, and also, Talasi Fuaga is a very good tackle. You know what's crazy is this guy is supposed to be a right tackle. Okay. This guy played right tackle, but they're having him on the depth chart as left tackle. So it's going to be very interesting. But overall, this guy's a beast. He's 6'6", 324 pounds. And his hometown's Tacoma, Washington. So, but he came in very good, fairly high rated. Obviously, he's no Joe Old or Fashanu, Latham. But, I, in my opinion, probably would have been the fourth or third highest offensive tackle coming into this draft. So he did pretty good at the Senior Bowl. Overall, I think he's got good height, good hands. He doesn't have a big arm span, which is kind of interesting to me. Normally, a lot of left tackles do, but again, it's not like entirely too bad that it's going to hinder him from being in that position. So it's interesting for me to see that they moved him from right to left side. But overall, I think he's very good. I think he's a very good asset there for the Saints. In retrospect, he might just come in and be like the number one best guy here for this line. I understand you got Cesar Ruiz and Penning and Young and also McCoy, and they're all good. They're all good, right? I just I think that Fuaga is going to come in here and he's going to take that lead role right off the bat, and he's going to be like probably their best one. So I like this. I like this for the Saints. And trust me, this is very hard for me to actually do this episode as a Falcons fan. But here on Dynasty Pylon, we take care of all 32 teams. So this is the most I will talk about the Saints. Okay. But again, we do these overview videos for, just for those who are just clueless of what's happened in the offseason and what we're about to get into. So again, if you're trying to learn something new, maybe I might teach something, but again, this is just basically what we're coming into this. It's just an overview video. All right. So again, Fuaga, very good tackle. I think he's going to be one of the best ones here, and probably in the league for, a couple years now. Like, hopefully he's not a bust, but I don't expect that. And then here, round number 2, they got Kool-Aid McKinstry. I absolutely love this guy. He's very good corner. I think he's going to be a very good asset. It wouldn't surprise me by next year he's going to start, if not midway through this season. I think he's one of the best that came into this draft class. So good for the Saints for getting both these guys, Fuaga and McKinstry, right off the bat. And then honestly, they didn't have a third and they didn't have a fourth. Why? Because of the trades, which is fine. But Spencer Rattler was supposed to come in last year, but he decided not to, and he was prospected to be very, very, very good. And then there's some media that leaked out, which was by far the stupidest thing I've ever seen. People were judging him for his character and whatnot. But guys, think about this. That was like 17, 18-year-old Spencer Rattler. You're really going to judge a guy off a guy who's been of something that was in high school. He was in high school. I don't care. I don't care about what they did in high school. Like, yeah, they got to college, but they're different people. They mature. They become young men. They step into the NFL and they mature even more. And if they don't, well, we could pick those guys out and they're probably no longer in the league, right? So for them to get Spencer Rattler here in the 5th round is probably low-key very good. This guy is decent enough to learn, smart enough to know what he's doing, and for them to get him in the 5th round is amazing. I understand there was other, quarterbacks ahead of him and blah, 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 and whatever. Like, oh, the talent wasn't there, whatever. Now, he is 3rd on the roster right now behind Derek Carr and Jake Haener. That's fine, but he's a rookie. He'll get his time, whatever. Give it some time. I think he'll do okay. So far, he's doing pretty good in camp right now. Now, as for the defense, that's another story. But right now, the offense is looking pretty good. Okay. The way it's being run right now, Quebec has something special going on back there. And we're going to get into that after we're done with talking about these rookies. So who's Spencer Rattler probably throwing to, because they're the twos or the threes. More than likely, him and Bub Means are probably going to be very connected as well. I expect Bub needs to be the third or fourth guy eventually coming in this year. Jalen Ford, another linebacker. Christian Boyd, defensive tackle, Northern Iowa, and Erzim, out of offensive tackle out of Eastern Kentucky. So again, these guys all after the 5th round, and I know what I say about 6th and 7th rounders. I know I say it all the freaking time that they probably not make the roster, but again, this team's different. They need the help, and if they can have the opportunity to shine, here you go. This is the team to do it. We'll see how they run. You'd be very surprised on this team on how well they're going to do, because I think that they have a chance to not do as horrible, but somewhere in the middle of the pack. And if they're lucky, due to injuries and whatnot, they can make it. They can. But let's get into this. Let's get into this roster, right? So obviously Dennis Allen, head coach, and Joe Woods, defensive coordinator, and Quebec as the offensive coordinator, as I said before. So here we are, as you can see on the screen. Hopefully, there it is. All right. Let me catch up on comments real quick. All right, so Jonathan comes in. I see the Saints winning 9-10 as unbiased. Yes, please be unbiased. Like you got to be unbiased. Like obviously, this is how we're doing this as a crew. Some of these might be ridiculous, and we'll call you out. Like, but yeah, I can see that. Okay. Durfee, their first pick is the best pick probably, but I like the McKinstry pick for them. Rattler, I don't see it in the offense. Saints run, but with Ford and Boyd, they're under the radar's picks. Yeah, so kind of basically sums it up. And Tua coming in, saying he gives them an 8. All right, so we have a 9, we have an 8. Okay, we'll see. But let's talk about this roster. Okay. Right now, so far the offense is clicking, and that's usually not normal when the first couple days of training camp and OTAs and mini camp, like usually the first day, usually defense is just hot fire. Usually most camps, just because of the way they're running and the way everything's new, they're kind of getting together. But right now, Quebec is got a lot of special things for these running backs. Now, this running back room, they have a lot of talent back there. Kamara, Williams, Miller, James Robinson's back there as well. These guys have a rotational guys of all a bunch of like different speeds, different strengths, different talent. They could utilize these guys in a different way. I expect Kamara to have a good bounce back year before he disappears, because he is getting up there in age, and running backs typically don't have a good span of longevity in league. Why? Because there's just a lot of tread on the tires. But they're using him as a little bunch of pass catchers. Just a lot of dumb passes. They're doing a lot of plays to him. Fantasy football, I wouldn't be too surprised if he goes probably 2nd round this year, because of just how everything's been going lately in fantasy football. But I definitely wouldn't mind getting him for sure in the 2nd round, for sure. I mean, it's Kamara. I know last year was kind of interesting, and a lot of people were like, I don't know. He's getting older. He's banged up, yada, yada, yada. So with this offense, obviously, Derek Carr being the head honcho, he should be doing a lot better this year. This is now year 2 for him. So behind this line, they've worked on it. I think he's going to have something special here with Chris Olave. Chris Olave should be that rising star, and it wouldn't surprise me by the end of the year he's going to be top draft picks in our fantasy football leagues, if not already. A.T. Perry's actually rising some good, turning heads, basically. in camp right now. So, and Rashid Shaheed, we all know how well he did as when he came in with injuries came upon. The guy can do it. Like, this is the first time that there's no like real star key alpha receiver there in the Saints. Like, there is no like key guy. There's no big name. Like, obviously, we all think of Chris Olave, but you'd be surprised he's still young enough to where like he only came in the league 2 years ago, guys. So he's not like developed this stature of he is the face of it yet, you know? So I think this is the year where people like actually start like us dynasty players. Of course, we know who Chris Olave is. Even if you religiously watch football, you know who Chris Olave is, obviously. But for the normal media, Chris Olave hasn't made that like presence yet. This is going to be that year. I believe that it's going to be he's going to be slapped on like many kids' jerseys this year. I think he's going to rise and be that alpha receiver that we all known he's going to be. So I think this is that year. So I do like Chris Olave a lot for fantasy purposes. And I would not mind getting Chris Olave with a backup stack of Derek Carr. I don't mind that at all. Obviously, I'm not going to go for Derek Carr as my number one QB, but if the matchup is right and they're playing a crappy team, I would not mind having him as a backup in case something happens, and having Chris Olave as that main key receiver, and having the backup of Derek Carr and throwing him in that week, because I think they're going to create some special moments this year. So I think they're going to compete for this division. Considering that the other teams on this division, there's probably just one threat right now. That's pretty much it. So we'll see how the rest of the year goes. But I think that with these three guys, Bub means getting himself some reps in there. Equanimous St. Brown, obviously, and Cedric Wilson, they just got this year as well. They have guys who we've seen before who can catch and actually make a difference. But again, there isn't that big name star. This is Chris Olave's year. So with that being said, let's move on to tight ends. Juwan Johnson, obviously, Foster Moreau, they got. And then the name that we cannot say on this show, to the guy, if I name that he plays quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end, kick return, punt return, yeah. What doesn't he not play? You know who I'm talking about. Okay. We don't say his name on this show for reasons that we kind like. If you've been in the show before, you know why. We just he's just he ruins fantasy. Okay, if you have him, great, but when you're facing him, he could destroy your world in a single week, or if he could be the best asset ever on your opponent's roster because he does nothing. But the man plays everything. He who should not be named is Voldemort. We called him here on the show, but you know who he, after what I just described him in, you know who I'm talking about, okay? You know who I'm talking about. So yes, Voldemort kind of does it all. And as old as he is, I don't understand. But again, he's kind of everywhere on camp right now. He's just doing it everything. So I would not be surprised if they do the same thing with this guy again. He's a Swiss Army knife. I hate him and I love him, and that's just the way it is. I cannot describe him more, and I cannot say his name because of the way he plays. So, moving on for offense, obviously, for dynasty purposes, obviously, I'm not wasting a high draft pick um on most of these guys, except for Chris Olave. Obviously, he's still young. You could probably get him for a first and some change, maybe to like this might be the last year you can get him for the cheap. After this year, I think he's going to explode, and I think you're going to have to, trade the farm for this guy. This might be the cheapest year you'll ever find Chris Olave on any of your dynasty rosters. If you like him and you're a truther, this is your year to get him, and do it before the year. Because if not, I'm telling you right now, this man's about to explode. I expect 10 touchdowns at minimum and at least 1,000 yards at minimum. Like I do expect him to do very good this year. So yeah, go get him, and I think he's going to be worth the cost. So Derek Carr, obviously, backup, on your rosters. Again, don't trade the farm for anybody else. A.T. Perry might be one of those guys where you can probably get away with like a third or a fourth. I think he's going to be valuable here. I think he's going to be um, very involved, to be honest. And Rashid Shaheed, obviously, we know how good he is. Again, both those guys probably on the same tier list, and a lot of people probably don't examine them and think that they're going to be very valued because they're probably going to draft another receiver, which they're not wrong. I have a feeling they might get another receiver next year with their first round draft pick. We will see, because I think they need more help there. These three guys are decent enough, but I think another first round type receiver can be a very good asset alongside with Chris Olave. So, um, again, I wouldn't spend too much on them except for Chris Olave right now. So, as for running back, Kamara, if you're in a win now situation, that's going to be a weird negotiation because you don't want to pay too high for him. But I mean, if you get him, if you pay a first, you'll have him, right? Like that's pretty much what you'll probably get him for. A second and some change maybe, but I think he's going to be very involved this year. Condre Miller looks like the guy you kind of want to get as well, just because he's supposed to be right back. Jamal Williams is old as well. So again, this backfield should be productive for this year if you're in a win now situation. So I wouldn't mind getting him. Not Condre Miller is going to be an interesting one as well. Like I mentioned him, but what if they don't use him? Last year he got hurt. I understand that. But it was very interesting that he was a rookie. They didn't really use him as well as much as we wanted to. But this might be the year as his sophomore year. I know he's probably going to compete for the second role behind Williams. So we'll see what they do here. Okay. But moving on, let's go to the defense. What can I say about this defense? This defense right now is being weird. We've always been used to them being good. They've always had this stature of being good, but it's only 3 days. Like today's Friday, right? We've only had Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday as minicamp. It didn't turn out so well. Even Spencer Rattler's kind of thrown up on these guys. But the good thing is Marshawn Lattimore's back. He's doing great things. He's doing really, really, really good things, as much as we thought he would be. So having him there definitely brings a very good, solid key defense. And, he was out there the entire time. He didn't have any issues. And he's basically that leader out there. So him and obviously Cameron Jordan. So it should be very interesting. So I can only say that the front seven are going to be holding it down with Cameron Jordan, Carl Granderson, who's very good, I think. And then you got Chase Young, who I think they're probably going to move in there somewhere around there. Nathan Shepard they brought in, and Keelan Saunders out of Kansas City they brought in. So my only issue here is Pete Warner. Now, I was very high on Pete Warner last year, and I thought he was going to be a difference maker. Turns out he's only average. Demario Davis, as old as he is, he's just amazing. He's a beast. But Pete Warner, I'm fading hard on IDP, but he did very good in the last three days. I'm not buying into this. I'm not buying into this. Just wait till the season starts, and if he's there, grab him, and see what he does for a couple of weeks. And if he's not doing as good as well we thought he was, then it's okay to drop him. So for IDP leagues, it's interesting. So, I really liked him, and I for one had him, and I didn't even play him. I just completely forgot about him, as a matter of fact. So that's saying a lot. However, they did bring in Willie Gay. Very good linebacker, very good asset. I think him and Demario Davis are going to be very good together. I think that with the addition to this line and Tyrann Mathieu, with Kool-Aid McKinstry learning under him, potentially, safety corner. I mean, as a DB, like Tyrann Mathieu and Marshall and Lattimore can teach the kids something, right? I think that they're going to bring something special if there's no injury occurrence. But I think they can hold their own. I don't think they're going to be entirely, folded or anything like that either. So, yeah, I I think they're going to be in the middle of the pack, if not on the top tier of the pack, if that makes sense. Like, they're not going to be 16 through 32 defenses. Okay, I think they're probably going to be somewhere between the 12 and 15 range, just because of how lately it's been running. I think that last year was kind of surprising. They had some holes where they can actually disrupt a little bit, but if they end up being top 10 defense, I'll be okay. I kind of see that, but right now I still kind of want to see how well they do. And Derpy disagrees. It's interesting. He says they're about to be whack. Interesting. It's very interesting. All right. So IDP dynasty wise, Carl Granderson, Cameron Jordan. Not so much, but I'll get him for cheap if they want to get rid of him. Sure. Pete Warner, I'm fading hard. I'm not into that. Tamara Davis is another guy. Him and Cameron Jordan are pretty much out. I don't think I want to. Chase Young might be interesting to get, just because he's been bouncing around for the last 2 years, since he left, Washington, and then went to San Francisco. Now he's with the Saints. So it doesn't look good on his part. And usually, typically, guys, when they bounce around for teams, that means something's going on. But I just think that last year was kind of a fluke. They needed him for the year. And that's exactly what the Niners said. Hey, we don't plan on keeping you long term. Sorry, I understand you're good. We all knew he was good, right? But we just need you for this year. Come get a Super Bowl with us. Unfortunately, they fell short. Hey, that sucks. But now the Saints gained from that. They signed him. I think Chase Young could potentially stay here. I think he can stay here. This could be his new home. I hope so. I really do. I hope so. And that, talented players like that should be finding new homes like that and stay have 2, 3, 4 years long term. And I think he's that type of player that could fit well with the system. So again, guys I'm buying is Chase Young and Willie Gay. They just got there. They arrived there. You could probably somehow convince the owner, hey, we don't know their system yet, blah, blah, blah. But you're listening to me, and I'm saying, hey, those two guys you want to get. Even regardless if they don't stay on the Saints, they're on your roster. They're both talented. They're going to go somewhere else and be good. So yeah, definitely those two on the defense, and see what you can get for them. And if you're watching and you somehow make a trade for them, or you have to get them on waivers, let me know. Let me know, and I hope that they do well this year. So offense, defense, again, interesting. I like what they're doing, camp. Offensively, defense needs to work on what they're doing right now. Again, it hasn't been really looking that hot lately, but again, it's still only 3 days in, so I'm not entirely too sure how bad they're really going to be. All right, so moving on to what these episodes are all about. Okay, schedule wise, let me pull up. Let me actually pull up our actual main schedule, so at the end of the time we can actually add our record and to the chart. So if you're listening on Spotify and you're wondering what chart I'm looking for, please come over to the YouTube and you will see what I'm talking about. We have a giant chart. So far, it's just teams and boxes, and yeah, it's not really. Not all the divisions are in there. Most of them are, but we add numbers to them, and then at the end before, I'd say a few weeks before the season, we come up and make this giant chart together. So a few of them already came in. Let's see. Again, I have Jonathan, who came in here with 9 and 10. Tua came in here with 8. And I'm looking week 1. That's a nice win against the Panthers. I don't believe in the Panthers. The Panthers are going to do horrible. I do believe they're going to get the 101 again. Well, they should have had the 101. They traded it, so they lost out on that position for the 101, and the Bears benefited. But I think they're going to get the 101 this year. So we'll see what happens there. As for the rest of this schedule, they travel week 2. They go to Dallas Cowboys. I think that's a loss. They go to, and then they come back home. They lose to the Eagles. This one's going to be interesting because they traveled to the Falcons. Let's call that a loss because I think they're going to split and they beat them there at home week 10. So let's make that a loss. So far 1-3, right? Kansas City 1-4. Then they come back home to the Buccaneers. That could be an interesting game. That could be a second win right there. Maybe I think that's a second win right there. And then we got the Broncos. That's a third win right there. These are both home games. Then we have 2 road games, one with the Chargers and one with the Panthers. Not sure about the Chargers. Everything's so fresh and new there. They got to click. But I think by week 8, I think they'll figure it out. But I think they might potentially lose there. But then we win here against the Panthers again. I think we sweep the Panthers, right? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 games so far. And then again, the 5th one here with week 10 against the Falcons. I think you guys split with the Falcons. So far we're at 5 weeks before the bye, right? Cleveland Brown, you host them the following week after the Falcons. Loss. Then the bye week, as I said, week 12. Week 13, you have LA. Let's call that maybe 6 wins, okay? And then New York Giants, you travel there. That's maybe 7 wins. Washington here at home, 9 wins. And then Green Bay, I think that's going to be a loss. And then I think somehow, some way, I think with the 9 wins, it's going to be an interesting one. Do you guys bench people here? Because I don't think the Raiders are going to be much of a threat, so it could be freaking 10 wins here. 10 wins, and then again, here you go. You go away to Tampa Bay, and you lose. So I have 10. So again, 2 teams in the same division. I look. If the injuries do not occur, this could be 10 wins, guys. What's up, Rasta? How are you, man? Thanks for dropping in. And give me what you think for this overall roster. Sorry, this logo's in the way, but that's Buccaneers in the top right. But this team has what it takes. They've improved on it. They're changing things there in the offense, and it's developing differently. Now I know it was nothing crazy, guys. Remember last year they went 9-8. And we weren't even sure how well they were going to do because it seems like they've been in shambles with money and they've been like banged up the entire time. They could go 9-8. I think in 10-7. So again, so what do we have? Jonathan here at 9. Tua giving him an 8. And Derpy at 9. I'm actually the highest one here, and I'm giving them a 10. Because I see sweep of the Panthers. That's 2. You split with the Falcons and you split with the Buccaneers. That's 4, right? Then you got a little nice run here with the Giants, the Commanders, skip Green Bay. I think you lose there. Then with the Niners. Oh, and I forgot the Broncos there. So yeah, it's going to be either 8 or 9, 10. So let me do this again, right? Let me get my final. Week 1. Win. Week 2, loss. Week 3, loss. Week 4, loss. Week 5, loss. But then you host the Buccaneers and the Broncos. Those are 2 wins. I'm going to say Chargers be interesting. Chargers are going to be the interesting one. So week 4 or week 9, you get your 4th win. Then you host the Falcons. You beat them. They're at 5. And then again, LA, maybe. So got Giants, Washington, Commanders, and interesting. Very interesting. Do I go to 8? Now that I'm looking at it a second time, let me do this a third time. I went from like 10 to 8. So which I'm at 10 to 8. So, and roster comes in maybe 11, anywhere from 8 to 11. Yeah. So you kind of like on board with what I'm looking at. Let me do this one more time, and then we'll add our numbers together. So, where's my all right, so here's we have Jonathan's. Let me get your guys's real quick. So, I have let's see. I have Jonathan's 9. 2 is 8. Derpy's 9. And Rasta's 11. And then with my final number, Panthers week 1. Buccaneers week 2. Broncos week 3. Panthers week 9. Falcons week 10. Giants week 14. The Commanders week 15. And then the Raiders week 17. The LA one and the both those LA ones are the ones that I'm like, maybe. One of those LA teams could be a win. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stay with my 8. And add the 8. Oops. So that's 5 of us, right? Ross is changing his 11 to 9. Okay. So that kind of brings it down to an average of hold on. So crap. Yeah, that's the so if we have no. Huh. Interesting. That's an average of 8.5. We're all getting like 9s and 8s. Your 11 brought it down. Well, your 11 brought it down since you changed it to 9. So Rasa went from 9. So we're sitting at 8.5. 8.5 as a community, guys. It's not bad. I think what sucks because you guys went, as you went last year, 9 and 8 as well. So is it another repeat? But again, this team can do it. I believe you're not wrong, Rasta. They could go 11. You're not wrong. They could go 11. But let's add it to the chart. Add it to the Graham screen of the community Dynasty pylon chart. And we'll go 8.5. Because if the average is, it can be like 8.6 to be honest. But we'll go 8.5. I do believe 8.5 is not bad. So we'll go 8.5. And we'll stick it right by the Saints logo right here at 8.5. So again, we're going to revisit a lot of these as we normally do. These beginning teams, we kind of like things happen. But yeah, 8.5. So the rest of you have been missing. We have Chicago 9, Vikings 5, Washington 6, New York Giants 5, 6.5 for the Cardinals, 10 for the Falcons, 8.5 for the Saints as for today, 8.5 for the Chargers, 5.5 for the Titans, 5 for the Raiders, 4 for the Broncos, 4 for the Patriots, and 11 for the Jets. So yeah, this is what we've come up with as a community. So it's not just me, okay? Don't be saying, "Oh, Martin has them there." Martin said that no. Martin did not do any of this craziness. Some of y'all gave him way too much for some of these teams, or some of them way too low. But it is an average. So here we are, 8.5 for the Saints. Overall, what do I got to say about the Saints? And hear me out, Who Dat Nation. You're not that far from making playoffs again. And you're not that far from potentially making it into the show. I think that another receiver next year, like a high calibered receiver next year, can potentially push that jump. And maybe a good linebacker. because these linebackers are either temporary this year or they're leaving. Because I'm telling you, DeMarco isn't going to be there forever. If you get you a good edge, you guys keep Chase Young, get a good linebacker next year, get a good solid high draft pick, maybe in the second round, get that new captain there, and then a solid receiver and see what we build off of there. Because Spencer Rattler might be something special. We don't know yet. But getting him in the 5th round, and considering that last year he was supposed to be a high top prospected QB, that's amazing for you guys. And I'm loving that for you guys. So the fact is, I'm not hating that you guys go 9-8 again. But at the same time, I am, because you kind of want a bigger draft pick. If not, make it to the show, right? So overall, you guys are a threat. And you guys potentially, according to us, we're probably going to go 9-8 again. But show us differently. Who Dat Nation, like you guys are the most resilient team I've ever seen. That's all I pretty much gotta say. And I should know, because why, I'm a Falcons fan. I see this all the time. Every single time I see you guys, oh yeah, we got you guys, and you guys spank us, or vice versa. We go there and we guys spank you guys. Like it's just that that's a hate, that loving hatred that you have for the other team, opposite team. And I have Saints guys coming in here all the time, and I have Falcons fan coming in here all the time. So again, if you're listening on Spotify and you guys want to give out your guys's records, please come by, just swing by real quick. If you get the notification on YouTube, have that alert on. I know you guys are busy. I know you guys are at work, and we're all busy. But if you get the alert, click on it real quick. Hey, I'm at work real quick, but this is what I think they're gonna do. Add this to the chart. Help your team out. And please make it unbiased. We'll figure it out. So again, Rasta, thank you for coming in. Derby coming in. Tua coming in, and Jonathan, I'm glad you came in for your team. It's been a while, my friend. So yeah. Rasta real quick says, yeah, that included the Camaro suspension and the car held together with the duct tape and the string. Yeah, exactly. But now they're all there, and there's no craziness happening this year. I think with this year, and they're utilizing Camaro, from what I'm hearing, that's good. These guys can make it further than 9 games. So we'll see what happens. Again, we'll probably revisit this team. Maybe, I don't know, but I'm kind of liking the 8.5, because essentially just rounds up to 9 anyways. So, but guys, thanks for coming in. This is the New Orleans Saints on Dynasty Pylon. Who do we have next? Tomorrow, or yeah, probably tomorrow, because I don't think I'll be able to do 2 of them. But tomorrow, we're gonna do the Colts, and then we're gonna soon do the Seattle. I've been so slammed. I've been trying to give you 2-a-days. I just can't. I'll do it eventually. One of these days, I'll give you 2-a-days. I'll give you 2-a-days to catch up. I know I'm behind, but overall, I'm still in a good terms to catch up to what we're doing as for the season. But I know next show should be the Colts. So, anyways, guys, thanks for coming in. Thanks for watching. I love every single one of you guys. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy your Father's Day weekend. And stay safe. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you guys later.
Getting hype when I aim up, elevating that game up, stepping up to the competition. Only first place, and that's how I'm living. I'm with it till they digging up my grave, eating all the things up on my plate. Game face when I step up into place. I was born, and when I watched the other way.